BlackBerry.com.
Now let's talk about how BBX platform fits into the enterprise. And for that, I'm going to ask Alan Panezic to join me on stage. Hello, Mike. Good morning, Alan. How are you? Fantastic.
So, Mike, as part of doing my enterprise job, I get to talk to an awful lot of CIOs. And I got to tell you, there's two things today that they tend to struggle with. They tend to struggle with the first thing, which is, gosh, this whole consumerization of IT is a very uncomfortable spot for the CIOs to find themselves in. And then the other area, especially when they talk about tablets like the Playbook is, we think our users aren't going to want one or two apps. We think they're going to want hundreds. In the enterprise contract, hundreds of apps. So how do we manage these apps? How do we deploy them? How do we create them? How do we create them? What are all the different ways that we're going to do it? So, one of the things that we've brought out to try to manage this conundrum between the CIOs trying to control and manage what they want, and the end user in the consumerization space wanting to have, frankly, one device that gives them all their experiences. They want to get access to Facebook, to Twitter, to their personal email, and they want to do their corporate email as well. And at the same time, CIOs are saying, you know what, I'm okay with that as long as I can be sure that my data is protected, that the corporate data is protected. So, one of the things that we've done,
the security and compliance aspect.
Security and compliance is critical. And so one of the things that is now shipping with every BlackBerry 7 device on the market today is BlackBerry Balance. And the interesting thing with BlackBerry Balance is, to us, it's a no-compromise experience that solves at the same time for the end user that says, look, I've really only got one 24-hour day. And in that day, I want to do everything. And I want to have one experience. I don't want to have these two sort of goofy things going on at the same time.
Like, I don't want a different app.
I don't want a different app that doesn't look the same, that doesn't feel the same. I want to have a great experience, but only one. And at the same time, the CIO is saying, you know what? As long as I know that you can't cut, copy, or paste corporate information and immediately post it to Facebook or Twitter, you know what? I'm good. This works. And that's exactly what Balance delivers.
Wonderful.
We think about Balance from the perspective of no compromises for either side. Now, the nice thing is we're going to take Balance to a whole new level with BBX. We're actually going to take Balance all the way down to the metal of the operating system. So not only are we going to allow the end user and the CIO to live in harmony when it comes to email, calendar, and PIM information, we're going to take it right down to the applications. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit of that Balance experience on here, and then we can talk through it as we see live. So what I have here is I have a BlackBerry PlayBook that's actually been provisioned against a BlackBerry server. And so what you can see here in the main nav bar is I've actually got this new category called Work. But I actually haven't had to do anything to log into this device. This is just a device I can pick up and use as a consumer. Now, when I actually want to go do something in work, I've got a very simple choice. I can just go ahead and click on an individual application. And this is where the CIO starts to put some management around the solution.
Right.
So now is when I actually put the corporate sponsored password in here. But I didn't have to put it in to do anything else.
No, and you didn't have to log into a VPN or any of that.
I didn't have to do any of those things. It's all built in and it's all automatic for the user. Now, what's very powerful about the solution?
This is talking to Bez.
This is talking to the BlackBerry server, absolutely. So what's very powerful about this solution is that as the developers in the audience to take advantage of this capability, there's actually no extra development that you need to do. So what we do is, when this playbook gets provisioned against a BlackBerry server, a separate corporate partition gets created underneath the covers. And any app that gets deployed by the BlackBerry server to that corporate partition automatically has all of its data stored there. And there's no ability for corporate information to leak out of that perimeter. And so what we've got, but as you can see from the end user's perspective, there's nothing special I got to do. I just tap the app I want. Oh, this one requires a login. I know what that is, and away you go. Now, we don't think, however, that all apps are going to be pushed by CIOs. We think they're going to be pushing a lot. But sometimes CIOs have told us, look, you know what? Could I really just get some sort of integration with AppWorld? Because what our end users are telling us, this is what CIOs say, is AppWorld's a great vehicle, but where's the corporate stuff inside of AppWorld? So very happy to announce that the playbook, the next version of the playbook will have an enterprise AppWorld. So you'll see here, there's a couple new things right at the top. So for example, you'll see there's now a work category. So what we're doing is we're providing dedicated shelf space for enterprises to actually promote applications both written internally, and plus the many great apps that people here and others are going to write for
This makes it easier than ever for a CIO to go out, talk to our developer community, either purchase something that they've been working on or have it created.
Have it created, absolutely.
Right? And then put it on AppWorld but only be available to their customers around the world.
Exactly.
Their internal customers around the world.
Well, and here's the best part. The CIO didn't have to do anything fancy. It's all through the server they've got in their environment. The developer didn't have to do anything fancy. They just write a great app, either in native or in HTML5. And it's just...
Speaking of HTML5, so this is where it gets really interesting, because what I've seen is a trend in enterprise now, where they're saying, how do we support all these different platforms?
Absolutely.
Right? And how do we support all these different devices?
Absolutely.
And I think they're realizing that with HTML5, they're finally getting to that vision.
They're getting to that vision, and especially with some of the examples that we've shown today. These are examples that, frankly, break some of the traditional rules about what you think you could do
with
HTML5. Exactly.
Right.
Right. So this is very, very powerful. And so, you know, I can also then, there's other integration here. So if I go into my world, you'll now see I have both my apps, which show the personal apps that I've had installed. I also have the work apps. Now this is where we do have to provide a little bit of management capability to the CIO, so you can see any of the apps that were pushed by the server automatically down to the end user will be marked as mandatory, and therefore the end user can't go ahead and delete them. We want them to be able to do their work when they need to.
And because all this is wireless and it's all enabled through a security framework, I mean, it couldn't be easier for the CIO.
Couldn't be easier for the CIO, couldn't be easier for the developer. Very, very
wonderful.